here in Radio Row with Tom Grossi. Yes, I know it's not in Spanish today, but I had to do this because this guy here single-handedly collected $500,000 for St. Jude last year, doing something we would all like to do, visiting NFL stadiums. Tom, welcome.
I appreciate you having me.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
So, first off, I know that you were a die-hard Packers fan.
Still am. Oh yeah, since I was 6 years old.
Since you were 6 years old.
Yep.
It's funny because I read why you're a Packers fan.
Yes.
And I think we share something in common. I'm not a Packers fan necessarily, but you're a Packers fan because someone else in your family was not a Packers fan.
Correct. Yeah, so my dad, I was 6 years old, so I was like young. I didn't really have a ton of experience with football. And he's a diehard Cowboys fan. And we live in New York, so like you kind of can't be a Cowboys fan in New York, right? It's the Giants and all that stuff.
Not supposed to be,
yeah, not supposed to be. So he kept trying to indoctrinate me into being a Cowboys fan. And I went into school one day when I was 6 years old, and I heard that the Packers absolutely smoked the Cowboys, like 45 to like 17. So I went home and I was like, hey Dad, like I'm gonna be a Packers fan. And he joked about it, and then I just stayed like that for like 7 years.
Like, oh yeah, he's kidding.
He'll grow out of it.
He'll grow out of it.
Nope, 27 straight years.
Did you buy shares with the Packers?
So yeah, funny story about that. Because when they released shares right after they won the Super Bowl back in 2011, it was $250. I'll never forget it. And I was in college, and I was just a broke college kid. Like I was working 2 jobs, I was going to school, and I just could not justify spending $250 on this. And I was like, all right, when it goes on sale next, I'm going to get it. So they went on sale recently, like last year, 2 years ago, and I wound up finally getting a share.
So you got one share. That's the cool thing about the Packers. They're one of those teams that they actually belong to the people, right? It's one of the few teams that's like that.
Yeah, and the money that they raise from that, I mean, it just goes back into the stadium. Like it's not getting pocketed or anything like that. It's upgrading their video boards, which they did last summer, and just making the Lambeau Field even better.
Have you met like Aaron Rodgers or any other reference Packers players?
Yeah, so there's a few Packers players that I've definitely met and also have interviewed. Mark Murphy, who's the president and CEO of the Packers. I've been doing yearly interviews with him since 2016. It was really cool. I kind of just reached out when I just started doing, content creation, and he was very gracious, and he was like, yeah, like come on to Green Bay and like, you do the interview and stuff like that. And it's just been like an every year thing, and it's just been great.
So how'd you get into the whole YouTube podcasting type of world? Was this, I knew you were a teacher prior to that.
Yeah, so I was a high school social studies teacher for 6 years, from 2015 all the way up to 2021. And so I was doing both. So I started Packcast in 2015. And the way it started was when the Packers lost in 2015 to the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game, which just broke my heart. Like it's one of the worst ways you could possibly lose. And 2 days later, I made a video about it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna make like a fake reaction video of me, because like everything went wrong, right? And I put it out there, and it got like 60,000 views, which back in 2015, it was like, whoa, it was crazy, right? And people were like, we'd like to see more Packers stuff. And so I didn't really do YouTube at that time. I just did a podcast. I called it Packcast, and I did 2 episodes a week, and it was interviewing a fan from the opposing team and just recapping the game. It was Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then kind of just as the time went along, I just started like putting more stuff on YouTube and just growing and growing. And so this is the 9th year, heading into that I've been doing it, and now we're here.
9 years later. So how did you break it to your students and team members at the school that, hey, it's been real being a teacher, but I gotta go?
Yeah. Kids found out, like, because they know how to use the internet. So students did, and it never was like a big deal. Like there was actually some Packers fans, like, we'd talk football like after class or something like that. But the year that I left, so it was June 25th of 2021 was my last day, because I wasn't gonna leave in the middle of the year. I wasn't gonna leave the kids. So what wound up happening was, that was the COVID year. So 2020 going into 2021. And a lot of it was virtual teaching. I had to go in. I didn't know what 90% of my kids looked like. It was a mess. Yeah. So what wound up happening was around like November, December, I'm working nonstop at teaching and doing, the channel. I'm getting 3 hours of sleep a night. I'm waking up at 5:30, going to bed at 2:30 every single night. I did that for the entire year. And like it got to around like November, December, and I was like, I gotta try to make a move and just try and like see if I can do this full time. And it started getting some momentum. And so yeah, June 25th, 21 was my last day. I told my principal, I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back next year. Like this is it. And it's been great.
It's funny. It's so funny because I know being a high school teacher, I'm sure you hear a lot of, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
That's now a career choice or career path for a lot of kids.
Yeah. So and meanwhile, their teacher's a YouTuber.
the teacher flips it on and says, hey, I'm going to be the YouTuber. You guys still in school?
Yeah, you guys stay here. Yeah, it came to think because I stayed for 4 years at one school, And I taught them when they were freshmen, and then when they left as seniors, I left that particular school. And it just got to a point where this got so big that I was like, I can't do both. I tried doing both, and it destroyed me just because, the 3 hours. But yeah, no, it's been amazing ever since. And, ever since I started this, I remember back in 2015 when I brought somebody on, and I was like, hey, what do you want to plug, right? Because it's your show, and you go, what do you want to plug? Social media, all that great stuff. And they plugged a charity that gave service dogs to veterans, for wounded veterans. And at that point in 2015, I was on a teacher salary. I was making no money. And I was like, you know what, I'll donate $50. That's literally like all I have to my name. But if I ever get to a point where I can give back, I'm going to do that. And so these last 3 years, we've raised over $720,000 for various charities, including $500,000 for St. Jude.
Yeah, so let's talk about St. Jude. So last year, during the summer, you did a 30 days, 30 stadiums in the NFL, and you were able to raise $500,000.
Yeah.
How did you get to St. Jude? Why St. Jude? How did you pick it?
Yeah, so we've been doing this for a while. We call it chaotic good. It's just like we don't tell the charities that we're raising money for them. We just go out and do it. Like I don't partner with anybody. I don't take sponsors, none of that stuff. I just go and do it. Yeah. So I had this idea February, literally on Valentine's Day in the shower, and I'm just like, man, it'd be cool to like go to a bunch of stadiums, but everyone's done that, right? Like people have done that, they've gone. It's like, well, what if I do it in 30 days? And any piece of content that I do that would be of that magnitude, there has to be a charitable component, because I believe if you have a platform, it's kind of like, it's the right thing to do, right? That you should be giving back. And so I picked St. Jude because, one, I didn't want to spend time educating the audience of like, hey, this is what this charity does, what have you, because almost everybody has heard of St. Jude and the work that they do, and it's incredible work, and they're a great charity. And I vet every single charity that I raise money for, and St. Jude is one of the ones that, like, I've raised some money for them before, like in little streams and stuff, but this, I was like, yep, I'm going to pick them, and we're going to see what happens. And so they actually didn't know. So they didn't know I was raising money for them until like about a week in, because I jumped through a table in Buffalo because we raised $50,000.
That's how you do it in Buffalo.
That's what you do it. So I was right on gravel. It did not feel good. But they thought, were like, are you hurting yourself for money? Like, what are you doing? Because they had no idea what I was doing. And then eventually got in touch with them, and they wound up helping out, getting into some other stadiums. And yeah, by the end of it, we raised over $500,000.
How tired were you?
Oh man, there was a week where I was just getting 3 hours of sleep. And the thing is just, it's a new day every day. And there was a fan meetup every single day, going to a stadium. There's travel every single day. So yeah, exhausted would be an understatement of the year, yeah.
So now that you raised the $500,000, now, out of all the teams, I don't know if you can say this, but who treated you the best?
Yeah.
Who treated you the worst?
No, so obviously, like, I'm not sponsored, like NFL does, like now they know, but I didn't have any really connections or anything like that. So the NFL wound up helping me get like 2 tours, but like there was teams that just didn't respond, right? And that's cool, like it's all good. So like for example, like with the Giants and Jets, they didn't even allow me on the property, because they were like, I think there was an Ed Sheeran concert that was going on, and they're like, there's production trucks, we can't film any of it, what have you. So I went on the side of the highway, and I filmed it from there.
Okay.
So like, we made it work. So there was just a bunch of stadiums that like I just couldn't get into, so no harm, no foul. The AFC North was amazing. Cleveland, I wound up getting into because they had a monster truck rally, and I just bought a ticket, and I just did a tour of the stadium myself. You should make it work. But the Steelers were incredible. They donated $1,000 to St. Jude, which was awesome. The Bengals, they donated a signed Jamar Chase football to be auctioned off. The Cowboys did it too. The Ravens, they were incredible. They auctioned off some stuff. So yeah, they were absolutely amazing. There was a handful of teams that, like the Broncos, the Cardinals, they really went out of their way to not only allow us in and to highlight the fan base and highlight the stadium, but really like going above and beyond to auction off things and help raise more money.
So what's next? What's next for Tom Grossi at this point?
Yeah, so we're here in Vegas for the Super Bowl. I was invited out because I am
running for
Fan of the Year. Yeah, so
you're Fan of the Year for the Packers already.
Yeah, so there's 32 teams, so there's 32 fans of the year for that, and then there's like one ultimate winner who will be announced tomorrow night.
So if you get announced as the NFL Fan of the Year winner, what do you get? What's your prize?
I think I get a trophy, and then I think if I'm not mistaken, just based off previous winners, I am going to be on stage for the NFL Honors to present a trophy to one of the other players or coaches. So
just what, 86-year-old kid from New York?
Yeah, I mean, like this is something. This is my first time at Radio Row. I've never been to a Super Bowl before, and I mean, I started this in 2015 on a folding table, like in my basement. I'm still in my basement, but to be here now, like with the Super Bowl, and to even just go to the NFL Honors, it's an incredible journey. And
that just speaks to being consistent. That's honestly what it is. It's being consistent, and it's paying off for you. Last but not least, 49ers or Chiefs?
See, the 49ers broke our hearts again, so I'm going to have to go to the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
I'm going to have to.
Well,
But-
Tom, best of luck to you and the rest of the way. And you know, maybe tomorrow, if you win the NFL Fan of the Year,
We'll see.
we'll be talking again.
That's it. I appreciate you. Thanks for your
so
time.
much for your time.